Hey guys, this is Stuart and I'm super excited to be doing this video for you today. I'm on my way right now to a local cafe. Well, I'm going to have a beer to meet one of our members, Mr. Dan Holloway. And I'm particularly excited about doing this video because Dan's actually been with us for less than a year. And what I want to do is sit down with him, pick his brains a bit, let him share his journey with you so you can get some perspective from somebody who's really gone all in, done everything that they possibly can to get to our events and do all of our experiences, get their business up and running, and find a little bit more about the transformation it's created for them. So come with me and we'll meet Dan. Hey buddy.
How you doing?
Good man, how you doing?
Yeah, good man. Good to see you.
You got the beers ready?
Yeah, I got
the
nice
beer ready.
Local Bosel natural Toronto beer. So do you fancy a try?
Yeah, let's give it a whirl.
Perfect.
So you got into Toronto a couple of days ago?
Yeah, 3rd of June, so I've been here about 6 days so far.
Awesome. And how many events of ours have you now attended?
Oh, blimey. Bit of a whirlwind, they all blend into one, but Brisbane was my first one. That was in December.
So did you fly from London to Australia and spend some time out there?
Exactly, yeah. So first event, London to Australia, 24 hours of flying, which was quite an experience.
Was it worth it? That's what I want to know.
100% worth it, 100%. But yeah, Brisbane, Dominican Republic, London, which after going to Australia was a nice change since I only live an hour away from London.
Yeah.
And then this is my 4th event in
Amazing.
Toronto.
All right, so that's enough of the small talk. Let's just get straight into it.
Sure.
I want to know more about what brought you to the community in the first place. Tell us, when did you get started with us? It was
September the 10th, 2016.
Okay, so less than a year ago at the point of this video.
Yeah.
And what brought you to us? How did you come across us in the first place?
Sure. So I was in a career in corporate software sales, and I was earning really good money. So I was getting success in my career, but I was working 70 hours per week. And I'd reached a point where I was realising I was trading so much of my time for money, and the career path that I was in, it wasn't bringing me fulfilment anymore, right? So I had almost like a massive light bulb moment when I was looking for roles in some of the big enterprise London software companies like Salesforce and Eloquent, Oracle, all those kind of businesses, and I suddenly realised that this new income goal that I was aiming for, I'd never got any fulfillment from income goals in the past, whether like 30k or 50k or 70k or whatever, and therefore why did I think that an even bigger income goal in the future was going to bring me any long-term fulfillment? And as soon as I had this realization, that was like a light bulb moment that completely dropped a bombshell on my entire direction that I thought I was going.
Yeah.
Suddenly realized that wasn't going to work for me. And it's weird how sometimes I think things appear when we're ready to hear them.
Yeah.
And I saw a video on YouTube from my sponsors in DEA, the lifestyle team.
Yeah.
And they talked about how to build an online business and create a life of freedom and leverage connectivity and automation to ultimately get your message in front of more people. And I was looking at this video and I just thought, wow, this is exactly the kind of thing that's going to enable me to change the direction I'm going in and stop trading time for money. And so for me, that was really the turning point. It was reaching that point of realizing that, I'm not going to reach fulfillment working 70 hours per week for someone else, understanding that it was possible to create what I wanted to create, and then really just taking that leap and just getting involved, and then the rest is history. So
awesome. So tell me a little bit about the leaving your job. You'd done that just before finding us, had you, or at the point of finding us? Like that must have been quite a big move. Like for most people, the fear of not having a job is one of the most feared things. So give us some perspective around that. Why did you walk away from the job that you were in, that you were clearly sort of doing quite well in?
Yeah, I mean that was a big decision, and you're right. The fear of doing that is something that takes quite a lot of, I suppose, confidence to face that and overcome that. And it was really the point was I handed my notice in 10 days, I think, before I found SFM. And I had 4 different business ideas that I wanted to pursue. All of them, funnily enough, are actually to do with either marketing or sales or potentially online. So it's
Just to give a rough idea, what sort of business models were you thinking of? What sort of businesses were you thinking about?
So I was looking at a business development agency,
Right.
because I've been in sales for 10 years. You
Yeah.
know, before finding the community and DEA.
Yeah. So you were thinking of setting up your own agency, providing consultancy services, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so like lead gen, so maybe
Yeah.
building a team of internal prospectors, cold callers, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking of maybe a marketing agency where I'd essentially find suppliers of marketing services or products, and then I'd go to business owners and almost provide like a consultancy type advice.
Service,
You know,
okay.
yeah. That was one. I was looking as well at potentially e-commerce, so doing business in that way.
Any particular product ideas?
I was throwing around a few ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, I had golf is a
Yeah.
passion of mine. I love golf.
Okay. Any good?
And, well, not as good as I'd like to be.
Oh, come on, I want some
Get
facts. What's your handicap?
Oh, 21.
Oh, okay, so you're terrible, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Not gonna lie. I do enjoy it though, and I love it. And there's times in my life where I've not played it as much as I wanted to. So I thought, would I go into a business in
Yeah.
golf, something like that?
Yeah.
But essentially, when I saw the video on YouTube and I got involved in DEA and the community, I was one by one knocking off each of those different business ideas, and it got down to the business development agency versus do I go for the community and DEA?
Sort of affiliate marketing.
Affiliate
specifically,
marketing. Yeah, exactly. And I think there was a point. I can't remember exactly what call it is, but I remember from getting involved with the community again and again and again on a consistent basis, and really starting to understand exactly what it was all about.
Yeah.
There was a point when it was like the penny just dropped,
Yeah.
and I thought, you know what, this is what's going to cover all of the different things that I want out of my future.
Yeah.
I started to get clarity about where I wanted to get to, how I was going to get there, and that was when it just became easy. It was when I say easy, I don't mean easy because it takes hard work, but I mean the decision
Was easy.
knowing
Yeah,
I
that
was
makes
gonna get
sense. A
there.
lot of sense.
Yeah.
So a lot of people coming in, and I know this from years and years and years of people coming and joining our training programs, they're dealing with some sort of fear that they need to overcome, whether it be whether they can do it, and if it's going to be too risky to start a business, whether it be something like you, where it's like, is this going to be my opportunity to get out of the 9 to 5, or if it sounds of it like me, the 8 to 7.
Yeah, pretty much.
And also skepticism, like is it not just fear, but that combined with, hang on, this stuff that I'm hearing is so different to what I've grown up to know. Working a job, time for money, like you've said a few times. Talk about that. Was there any skepticism at all, or not at all, or?
Yeah, no, I actually was. I was pretty skeptical when I first started, and when I think back on that, I find that quite surprising, because I know now that, generally speaking, skepticism is coming from a fear-based place, right? It's like we're protecting ourselves against, getting ripped off or going down the wrong path or something. So we want to be defensive against it. And from learning, that about skepticism, I kind of thought, oh no, I'm not really a skeptic. I'm sort of open to opportunities and ideas. But when I was honest with myself, I looked at it, the video on YouTube, and the first thing I thought was, sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound
Again,
real.
to drill in specifically, what the geographical freedom, the being able to make a lot of money, the not trading time for money. What would you, if you to pinpoint it?
Yeah.
What would you say? And you might not have thought about it before. Like really think. Like, what was it that made you think? Hang on a minute. Like, this sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, I think it was really a combination, because the video, it was from specifically two people called Gerard and Merrily, who you obviously from the Lifestyle team.
Yeah.
And they were in a beautiful back garden in Western Australia.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the idea of running a business from anywhere in the world as long as you've got a laptop and an internet connection. And I know I'd seen a few videos like that before online, and no other video had really resonated with me. And I think the point was that when I watched this video, it did resonate with me, and because of that, it made me actually start thinking, do I want to consider this as an option? And that was when the skepticism came up, because I was almost imagining myself going into that situation. It became more of a real idea, and off the back of that, I'm thinking, well, you know, could you really just run a business from
anywhere
in the world?
Yeah, I think one of the key things, and I think this is really important to share from a perspective of, I think there's a fine line between skepticism and pessimistic.
Yeah.
And you know, there are some people that will never help themselves and never overcome, the idea that there are other options than the 9 to 5 or trading time for money in a corporate job and everything else. I think it's very healthy to be skeptical, but it's always interesting to me, because I was skeptical when I first came across the whole online business model. And similar to you, it was just, I think the thing that I was most skeptical about is that just sounds so good. Like being able to work from coffee shops, have my laptop, internet connection, and not have to get in a car and commute or do public transport or anything else. So definitely relate to that. Once you'd gone through the first module, if you can remember, it was,
it wasn't
not too long ago. Once you'd gone through the first module, what was your biggest epiphany in terms of, hang on, I'm going to start to take these guys seriously and look at this education properly?
Yeah, so it was module 1 where I started being more the skepticism completely disappeared, because I started thinking, right, well, I felt that I was smart enough to judge whether this was a real opportunity or not. And in module 1, you start getting a much more of an insight into what the community is about, how DEA is going to help, how the processes of list building and online marketing and building your website and all this kind of thing, how it all comes together. And it was so transparent that I could tell that it was real. You know, it wasn't just like smoke screens and hype and all that kind of stuff. It was so going through module 1, it might have changed now, but at the time when module 1 was live, you had a video of they walked into your office and you had Britney Spears or something playing.
Yeah. And that's an older one, but I know the exact video.
Yeah. And it was. It's kind of cheesy. And it made me smile. I was like, "Oh, that was cheesy." But I remember like the build up to that, and right after that, there was another video in the module where you were speaking on. I don't think it was on stage, but it was in a private sort of room with a bunch of people, and the way that you were coming across live while presenting to people, I was like, right, okay, I get it. Yeah, this is real. This makes sense.
I think for me, the thing that changed, and you might relate to this, is when I understood the process of selling online, and I understood that I could apply that to other people's products as an affiliate, or I could apply it to do customer acquisition. You know, it just made sense. And I think that is something that either just people resonate and make sense with, or they don't. But ultimately, what you're saying is the epiphany was, I can learn how to sell stuff online.
Yeah.
All right, so now what I want to do is I just want to dial it up a notch, and I want to start off by first of you sharing, how life is today. The freedom that you now have, the fact that you've not had to go back to the corporate world.
Yeah.
You're working for yourself, you're making a good living online. And then I want to revert back after that, though, to some of the challenges and really what it has taken you to get to this point in your first year.
Yeah.
Not everybody achieves the kind of results and success that you have in the first year. And I think it'd be really helpful to give a really honest perspective on what it has taken.
Yeah.
So first of all, what's life like now, in comparison to where it was before?
In comparison, I mean, it's such a different contrast. And I sometimes, it sounds so cliche, but I sometimes almost have to like pinch myself to,
I still do, and I'm like 10 years down the line.
Well, okay, that's good to know. It's probably not going to stop then. But it's such a contrast, and I look at my friends, from when I was in that kind of corporate rat race and that lifestyle, and they're all still doing the same thing, obviously, and it's just like, it's so hard to explain because everything is different. It's like it's not like you've maybe changed one part of your life. Like, for example, you've worked out and you've got more in shape, and you go, "Oh, life's better now because I'm more ripped and I feel better about myself." It's bigger than that. It's like your mindset about everything changes. Your business, the way you feel about yourself, the confidence that you have in yourself just through understanding yourself better through the personal development. And all of that, really, all of the success that you can get off that, and all of the things you can enjoy, like the travelling and the meeting people and all of that kind of thing, that's really, I think, an extension of who you become as a result of going through this process. So short answer to your question is my life is utterly different in every way. I'm eternally grateful for it. I wake up every morning and, I'm just thankful for the way that things are now. I'm not saying that like everything's all sunshine and rainbows, because of course life still has challenges, but the point is that we're dealing with challenges on a very different level to where we were before. So to bring it onto the challenges side, again, it's not easy. Like, if you're going to live, as you know a lot more than me, if you're going to live this kind of lifestyle, it takes a commitment. Like, you have to decide that you're going to do whatever it takes to make this happen. And I feel like when I look at my journey versus someone who maybe doesn't get the same sort of results in the same sort of time, I think a lot of it really boils down to that commitment and that decision that I'm going to do whatever it takes. I want to get that result, and therefore I'm going to do what's necessary to become that person. And any kind of transformation is hard. Like, it's seriously hard. You've got to really work on it. You've got to create habits that are so vastly different from everything that you've done before. So when I'm saying that every area of my life is different, that's because I've worked on every area of my life, and that's a serious commitment. It's hard work, but the rewards are worth it.
If you had to summarise the thing that you've had most fear around to get to where you are right now, what would it be?
That's a great question, because I think that moves depending on where you are. So one of the first fears that I faced, and I think everyone faces in this, is financial. It is maybe fear of judgment as well. What are other people going to think when you get started in affiliate marketing or online business? Building a business takes money. It takes investment. You're not going to build a business for like $29 or something that's absurd. But sort of reaching that point where you decide, I'm going to go down this path, and then you've got to overcome the financial hurdle to get to that, to spend money on marketing, to spend money on education, to spend money on surrounding yourself with people who are achieving the results that you want, community, all this kind of thing. That's the first challenge.
How did you overcome that?
So I have a philosophy that I've talked about at live events a couple of times, and that is, what would you do if you were 10 times bolder? So the way that I've always overcome fear, and it kind of started in this journey, it started there at the financial. It was a question I'd ask myself: what would I do if I was 10 times bolder? And whatever the answer to that question is, all that means is that fear is holding me back. So my way of overcoming fear would be to identify it is literally just fear, and then I would just say out loud or in my head, just do it, 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 until I get sick of hearing myself say that, and I go and take action. And so ultimately, the fear, first of all, financial, then judgment, but all of these things, the more you make progress, through the modules, and more specifically on a broader sense, just develop yourself, the more fears you can overcome, because you have that level of belief in yourself. So I think biggest fear, difficult one to answer, because it's
no, absolutely. I mean, similar to you, I actually have this same sort of thing where I always ask myself, if I achieved what I was looking to achieve, and let's say in 2 years' time from now, and I'm that person who's achieved that, whether it be lifestyle freedom or financial freedom, made my first million, whatever, driving the car that I've always wanted to drive, being able to provide the support for my family that I would always be able to provide, what would that person say to me at that point of, should I do it or shouldn't I? What advice would they give me? And I always think about, what's that future person, what's that future Stuart going to say? It's kind of similar to what you're saying. It's like, what would I do if I was 10 times bolder? All right, so finally, if somebody is getting started, and you mentioned a moment ago, one of your fears was financial, and another of your fears was judgment. Whether it be friends or family or anything else. What advice would you give somebody in terms of that perspective of, the fear of judgment? Have you got any?
So fear of judgment is, so the way that I see it is when we're overcoming, or when I was overcoming fears, it was almost like a threshold, right? So if my desire to achieve the result was, let's say, higher, than the fear that I had to overcome, well, I knew that I was going to overcome it because this is more important. And so with fear of judgment, I think the way to overcome fear of judgment is to get crystal clear about what you want to achieve and why you want to achieve it. And once you know that and you're tapped into how important that is to you, if you have the philosophy of, look, there's nothing on this planet that's going to stop me from doing this, the idea that someone might judge you or, you know, criticize you or something like this, it suddenly starts to disappear.
Yeah.
It's not that important anymore. And we'll often, I think, when we're not focusing on what something really means to us, or we're not really clear about what the fear is in the background, it becomes like this great big, you know, thing that will make a serious issue in our minds. So I'd say for someone looking to overcome fear of judgment, get crystal clear about what you want to achieve and why you want to achieve it. And if it is important to you, genuinely, sincerely important to you, then, well, you've just got to overcome that fear of judgment. Just do it.
Anyway.
Yeah. And it becomes a lot easier to do it once you reach that point.
Awesome. All right, finally, this is the last thing. If you had to choose one word that summarised the journey, the experience, and where you're at right now, what would that one word be?
So many words, Stuart, that I could pick. Awesome.
Well, on that note, awesome, man. It's been great to have this chat with you.
Thank you, my friend.
Look forward to seeing your continued journey
100%.
in this entrepreneurial world that we're all in.
Absolutely. Thank
Cheers,
you, Stuart.
man.
Nice talking to you.
No worries, man.